Hi Connor. Um, okay, we're going to take off from where we left off last time. Sorry it ended a bit quick, but I run out of space on the computer with the program that I'm using to record. But anyway, what I've done is I've had a look for a couple of other photos, and these are the ones that I've come up with. Um, I'm not sure exactly what part we're working on here, but I'll show you where we're going to go. I think I'm after, the plinth down the bottom, the metal pipe that gets metal I don't know, is a girder or something like that, and it goes up and gets thinner at the top, and then we're going to put these bars in here. We've got 6 bars, so we'll remember that. There's also this one. It's probably a bit of a better picture because it's in daylight, and it looks like we need to put a bit of a cap on the top there, but we'll see how we go with that. Might not. A lot of stuff doesn't show up at the end of the day, so we'll try and keep it simple to begin with and learn some new tools in Blender along the way. So let's get back to our scene. I'm going to squeeze the top up like it is here. Yesterday I tried to use the scale tool and things got very messy there. I didn't like that at all. So what I'm going to do today, or what might be better, is if I scale all the faces. So we'll select all those top faces. We've got all those selected. And scale in. That looks alright. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's okay. I'll leave it like that for the moment. We might change it later. Remember that down the bottom here, we've still got something hidden, and we can get it back by going Mesh, Show Hidden, or as it says, Alt H. So I'll hit Show Hidden, and there's our concrete down the bottom there. Now it's sitting a little low, and this bit of metal, this one's sitting inside it. So what we have to do, does that look straight to you? I might rotate it around. We'll see how we go. What we have to do is we have to pick the metal out from inside it, and I think we'll also, no, we'll leave it as it is for the moment. We might stretch that out and make it a bit wider, because I think if we have a look at our pictures, that's a pretty big concrete block down the bottom there. So we might stretch it out and make it a bit bigger. We'll have a look. I'll turn on screencast keys. Hopefully I've got it. No, I've got to do the user preferences. Screen. Let's enable that. Close that one off, and now starts. And now you'll be able to see what I'm doing when I'm doing buttons. So we want to lift the metal out. You can see it poking down the bottom there, and that means we want to select all of our metal part. So I'm just going to select one face, and then with my mouse pointing at it over the top, I'm going to hit L, and that's going to select all of that connected part, because it's not actually connected to our concrete. It's the same object, and we're in edit mode, but it is yeah, it's not actually connected. I'm going to change it over to move and lift her out. Sit her about there. And now we can definitely see that that concrete is just too small. So let's select all of that. Let's select one face, hold our mouse over it, select L, get everything. And I'll just scale that out just normally, I think. I don't think, yeah, that's not going to make, that's going to be nice. We'll come out this way a bit as well. I think something like that should be good for the moment. It's not too bad. So let's have a look at it from afar. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. If we have a look at our, I really wish, I'm gonna squeeze this top part here. I'm gonna select these 3 faces here, and I'm gonna move them. I'm gonna move them in so it's thinner at the top, just like that. That way it's got a bit of an angle to it, which is a bit more like our picture. Alright, let's have a look at the bars. So with the bars, we're going to we're going to stay the same object. Oh, I just had a thought. Okay, what we're going to do, before I do anything now that I've got this one plinth, is I'm going to go out of object mode, out of edit mode into object mode, and I'm going to duplicate this. And you know how to do this. We can hit duplicate up here, or we can go Control D, and hopefully that duplicated it. No, it didn't duplicate. Maybe it's Shift D. Shift D. Oh, Shift D. Okay, excuse me. Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to put this over here. We're going to need this later because this is when we make our fence. This is going to be one end of the fence. It's going to be fence, or it's going to be a cap, and we're going to be using an array modifier to make our fence really big because pretty soon we're going to have a very big fence. But what I'm going to do is going to go over here to the right hand side where it names things, and what it's done is it said, right, this is cube 1, this is cube 2. And I don't know what this one here is. Cube. Oh, that's our base that we started with. That's this bit here. Well, let's name that. Let's go. I'm going to call it. Oh, let's go base. I'm going to call it base, and I know what that is. And then I'm going to go back to my layer where I've got this one here. See, I was just jumping between layers because we moved that to a different layer. And I'm going to call this one fence. Just double click on the name and type in a new one. We can also change the names. Where do we change the names? In here, this is our object info. Here it says cube 2, and if I go to my fence, it says fence. So I can select the object and name it here, or just double click on the name up here, and we'll call this cap. The reason I'm calling it cap is because it's going to be the cap to our fence, so that our fence always ends in a paling, in an upright like this. It'll make sense in a second. Anyway, so let's put in our bars. Let's go back into this object and go into edit mode on this object. There we go. And our cursor's sitting way out there. So if we put a cylinder in now, we go create and put a cylinder, because that's a good way for, if I just drag there, you can tell that those things are just stretched out cylinders, those bars. So we'll put in a cylinder, but we don't want the cylinder way over there. It's just a pain in the neck where it is at the moment. So I'm going to move this cursor to exactly where I want it, and I want it right there on that black dot. Is as close as I can think of to get it. So I'm going to select that face, and then we're going to go Shift S, cursor to selected. Usually we go cursor to center, and that's how we put things right in the middle of our scene. But we're going to go cursor to selected and pop our cursor in right there. So now everything we add will go to where our cursor is. We could do all sorts of things. We can put that cursor anywhere. If we were in vertex mode, we could select just one of these tiny little vertexes up here, Shift S, cursor to selected, and we could pop something right there. If we wanted to add a plane or something to the top, we could add a plane right at the top. Well, I'll go back to faces. I'm just mucking around. And Shift S, cursor to selected. Now there is a option for that, and I think I found it last night, but I've already forgotten. What is it? Select, cursor, cursor, cursor. I won't waste much time looking for it because Shift S is so much more simple. I suppose I could go spacebar, search, cursor. Is somewhere here. Cursor to snap, cursor to selected. There it is. Anyway, so it's right there. And let's add a cylinder. And the first thing we notice about our cylinder is it is going the wrong way. But I also notice, and this is before I touch anything, I don't want to touch anything, down here where I added my cylinder, I got some properties for my cylinder. I'm just going to explain a couple of these because this is really important. It's going to have 32 faces on it, 32 vertices to make up all the faces. And that means that there are 32 sides on this entire cylinder. Now, when you're working with 3D models, you don't want too many if you don't need them. And because this is so small, back at our picture, it's not that big a, you don't need all those faces for these 32 vertices. So we're going to change this straight away. We're going to halve that. And half of 32 is 16. And I'm also going to show you a really interesting trick. Rather than type 16 in, I'm going to type \2, enter. And it's going to change it to 16 because what I did was I just went, what's 32 divided by 2? And it works it out for me. It's probably best that we do this because it's a good part of the maths for us to work with. But next thing we want to do, now that we've halved the number of faces, and it hasn't changed it that much, we've halved the faces but we haven't really done any damage to it, is I'm going to scale it down. Now, we could go to our tools over here and we could hit scale, and as I move my mouse it comes in like that, but just to be a bit quicker, I'm going to hold my mouse about here, even distance away from it. I'm going to hit S and I'm going to squeeze in, and that's going to scale everything. We could also use our scaling tools. Why don't I do that as well? Go Z, and this time, because if I squeeze the green it gets flat, I don't want that. That makes no difference at all. That just makes it shorter, and we're going to make it longer later. And this one squeezes it that way. But what I can do is zoom right in, put my mouse right in the center of that white circle and move that in very delicately because it's only a little space to move in, but that will scale all of the axes. So I'm going to go about, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, maybe a bit further, but we'll leave it for the moment. That's okay. Now, next thing we want to do is we want to rotate it. Now, this is what I was talking about at school today. When we rotate this one, we want to go exactly 90 degrees. And if I was just to switch to rotate, I'm going to go on the y-axis and try and pick 90 degrees here. It's really, really hard. If you have a look down in this bottom corner when I'm doing it, you're going to see that the numbers of how many degrees I'm turning it. So down in there, we're going, I want to get close to 90. Just off, like that's pretty close. I'm pretty happy with that one. But if I want it to be exactly 90, before I leave anything, I can just type, I can just turn this anywhere around there that I want, and then type in 90. So I'll go 90, enter, and it does an exactly 90 degree turn. And you can tell this over here because we've rotated 90 degrees. You can also type in how many degrees there. So yeah, that's one way to do it. Also today, I'll go Control Z and undo that. If I hold down Control, so I start moving it and then I hold down Control and continue to move it, it's clicking at degrees of 5. Down in the bottom right hand corner, 90 degrees exactly. Holding down Control locks it to 5 degree increments. So we always get a very tight turn on our rotations. So we'll let that go, and that's our 90 degree turn. And I think we wanted 6 of those, so let's duplicate. Let's go in our tools. Where did duplicate go? There it is. Duplicate. We could go there, or Shift D. Well, let's do just a couple this way, hitting duplicate. Move it down. Yeah, pretty straight. And now I'm going to go Shift D because I like Shift D to duplicate. Let's go Shift D, and I'm going to go down exactly. on that Z-axis. And what do I want? I want 6. Um, okay. I think I'm going to get that one back. Going to hold my cursor over it, press L to select all of it, and I'll Shift D and go up for the other 3. Shift D, let it snap back with right click, and then drag it up perfectly on that axis. Move it into the center a little bit. I think that's a bit too high. I'm going to adjust all of them. In fact, I'm going to right click on that one, press L with my cursor over it, get all of it. I'm going to move it that way a little bit, and we'll do the same. L gets all of it, and move it there. Alright, good. Okay, we'll get another one in. I'll move this down a bit, just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, L, and then Shift D, and we're moving up, just about there. Looks pretty good. We're going to get squeezed out. I maybe should have made them a bit thinner, but I didn't. So, what do you do? I'm also noticing, look at that, they're squeezing through there. I'm going to select that face and move it into the center so it disappears. I'm going to select that face, move it into there so it disappears. I can still see that one. Only just, it's alright. And let's get rid of that one. Just makes it look neater. Doesn't have to move because nobody's going to notice. Well, that's alright. And we'll select that one and go L, Shift D, and move it up. That one will pop through as well at the back, I reckon. Yeah, about there. Every time it flicks back, what I'm doing is I'm just hitting right mouse button to let it flick back, so then I can just use the arrows. Sometimes when I'm moving things without using the arrows, it goes a bit weird and I don't like it. Alright, that's pretty good. Obviously they're not long enough though, so let's select top one, top circle, and Shift right click, Shift right click, Shift right. Okay, so I have Shift right clicked on all of them. Sorry about that. It stops after, must be 15 minutes. But we won't be too much longer with this part 2. I'll make it a part 2 one. We've Shift right clicked all those faces. We've got nothing else selected. Being very careful about only selecting the things we want. And we are going to move them out this way. And that looks pretty. Oh, actually, let's go further. I'll show you the pictures again. Let's have a look at the pictures. Always go back to my pictures. See, it's not that long. It's about as wide. It's not even as wide as it is tall. It seems taller than it is wider, these bars. Have a look at this one here. Yes. I'll zoom out because it's a bit pixelated. They're a bit longer here. So, about as tall as they are wide. Let's go about that. You can do whatever you want with this. I'm just after the bits and pieces that you can learn from each of it. Yeah, I like that. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. We can change it. You can change yours if you want to. No worries. But, alright. So, that's kind of my fence. Now, what I want to do a little later on is with the next tutorial we'll get started on something else. But let's just finish this for the moment because I've got one little trick up my sleeve, and this is the main point of today's lesson. We are going to extend this fence out using an array modifier. And we do that, first of all, let's go into object mode. So back here, object mode. You can hit tab, the tab key, to get into object mode. There's the object mode. We've got the object, the fence, selected. And we go over to our little spanner, our modifiers bar, and click on that. We're going to add a modifier, and our modifier is called array. First one in the second column. So let's hit array, and there we have a second part of the fence. Now there's a problem. There's a gap in there. And the reason there's a gap in there is because this number over here, we're going on the x-axis. See that red arrow? It says on the x-axis, this top row is x-axis, it's making 2. That's where we get our count from. We can expand that out. Watch this. 3, 4. We can just keep going, and they're all exactly the same. So we model one, and then we just duplicate it heaps of times, and we can make that as long or as short as we want at any time during our modeling process. So what we need to do here is we need to squeeze it up a bit. Couple of ways we can do that. One way is we can take the origin and put it over here so that it starts here, because it's that gap there that we're dealing with, and it's a bit complicated, but origins are what we replicate when we mirror or we use an array, and the distance between here and here is going to be the same distance as here to here. But let's do something a little different with this one. Let's change our offset. At the moment, the offset is the full distance of our span, including that bit. And we don't want that bit. So let's make it a bit smaller. Let's click down, and there you go. I just clicked on that one right there. 0.9 is the ticket, and our fence is now closed. So we can zoom right out there. We're going to put 6, 7, 8. Many as we want in there, but look at that at the end there. Every time we duplicate it, we've always got the end, and if we were to put another one on, we'd have another end, and it wouldn't help us. This is why we have this cap here. Now the cap we don't really need in our scene. It's actually going to be a bugbear in our scene, but what it does is it's just going to tell this one how to end. And over here on our array modifier, we've got an end cap, and we can choose an object to be the end cap of every array. So let's choose our cap. Bang, there she is. Now we've put a cap on the end, and if we were to add to our array, let's make it 7, there's a cap on the end every single time. It just replicates the fence and puts a cap on the end. So that's pretty nifty. Now, because we won't want the cap actually in this object in our scene, we certainly want to keep it because it's telling the fence what to end with, but we don't actually need to see it in our final scene. So let's right click on that one and we'll move it to a different layer. So we keep it, but it's just not in our thing. So let's go, we could go object, where is it? Was it in move? Yep, move to layer or M. I'm just going to hit M. I'm going to put it over here with this lot over here. And I usually put the things that I don't want, or things like caps and stuff that I'm experimenting with, in these layers here. And I keep these ones for my main objects. So I'm going to send him over there to this first one. He's still gone. He's still existing because he's still sitting on the end of our fence.